Hey gang, it's Squill, and welcome to my top 10 episodes of Steven Universe Season 1. We had a whopping 52 episodes to choose out of this batch, so it'll be interesting to see what made the list. So with all that said, let's get on with the list. At number 10, we have Lars and the Cool Kids. I think what I love most about Lars and the Cool Kids is the Steven and Lars dynamic. They've got a bit of a SpongeBob and Squidward dynamic going on, with Steven being the optimistic and overeager one, and Lars being the grouchy and easily annoyed one. It's just a perfect comedic setup. And this dynamic is escalated perfectly, with the teens finding Steven's earnest sincerity cool and seeing straight through Lars's fake persona. There's nothing lame about seatbelt safety. The best part of the episode is when Steven snaps at Lars for insulting his mom. It's equally satisfying and heartbreaking to see Steven drop his happy-go-lucky attitude. But it also further illustrates the dichotomy between Steven and Lars. The fact that Steven is open and honest about who he is, and Lars is just a phony. This is what makes Steven cool and Lars lame. The resolution to this episode is awesome, with the music swelling as the moss is in full bloom. It makes for such an atmospheric moment. Lars and the Cool Kids is easily one of the best episodes from the first half of Season 1. At number 9, we have Future Vision. Future Vision is low-key a really funny episode. Yeah, this one has the reveal of how Garnet's future vision works. But it's the way they escalate this premise that really gets me. The way Steven starts off intrigued and excited by Garnet's abilities, but slowly becomes more terrified of future vision the more Garnet predicts bad things happening to Steven. The way this information just breaks him, it's so funny. I love this montage of terrible things happening to him. Hey look, it's Steven after not surviving. But the episode really shines in its last few minutes. The reveal that Garnet is always seeing bad things happen to Steven, herself, or the other gems really adds a bit of depth to her character. She's the protector of the group, both physically and emotionally. Despite how closed off she can be, I really like Garnet's motherly dynamic with Steven. And Future Vision is an episode that showcases it perfectly. At number 8, we have Ocean Gem. For being the second half of a big mid-season finale, I really like just how calm the first few minutes of this episode are. They really ease us into the crazy stuff, with some good jokes, fun character moments, and a casual lore reveal about corrupted gems. I really like this moment in particular as it's a good showcase of Steven's growth throughout the first half of the season, that he's matured enough to the point where the gems can let him in a bit more. This episode has easily one of the coolest fight scenes in the entire show. Lapis's water powers make for some really cool visuals. Steven being able to use his shield again is another great moment for his growth and development. Although Lapis herself isn't in the episode that much, I really love what they do with her here. Despite being the antagonist of the episode, she's instantly sympathetic, someone who just wants to get home after being trapped for so many years. And some of these shots of her and Steven up in space are just absolutely gorgeous. Ocean Gem feels like both a satisfying culmination of the first chunk of the series, and at the same time, a great taste of what's to come next for Steven Universe. At number 7, we have Lion 3, straight to video. You know what I love about Lion 3? I love Lion shenanigans. Lion is just a silly little guy and I want to pet him and love him and care for him. While Lion shenanigans are adorable and make up a very fun first half of the episode, it's when Steven goes inside of Lion that the story really gets good. This whole sequence is absolutely beautiful, with the soft piano music and the gorgeous pink visuals. It's cool how the show plants some seeds with the items inside of Lion. They do a good job subtly setting up future stories. But the best part of the episode, and let's face it, the reason why it's even on this list, is Rose's tape for Steven. It's satisfying to see Rose physically and hear her voice for the first time. And the way she describes just being a human and sacrificing her physical form to create Steven is absolutely beautiful. And while later parts of the show will go on to deconstruct who Rose was, I don't think anything can fully take away just how powerful this moment is. This is a minor part of the episode, but I really like the sort of mini arc they give Sadie here. She starts the episode very dismissive and ungrateful of her mom packing lunch for her, but changes her mind upon watching the tape. Likely because, while her mom may be overbearing, she at least has a mom capable of showing her affection. It's cool to see Steven's arc directly influence the arcs of the characters surrounding him. At number 6, we have Jailbreak. Aw man, it's the big one. Jailbreak is an episode that just feels climatic, with a reveal that Garnet is a fusion, which was excellently built up to throughout the season. The return of Lapis, and the introduction of Jasper. Stronger Than You is easily one of the best songs in all of Steven Universe. Not only is Estelle, well, Estelle, but it's the perfect showcase of everything that makes Garnet Garnet. It's hard to believe they stole it from Sans Undertale, but that scene at the end where Jasper and Lapis form Malachite is perhaps my favorite scene in the episode. It feels so wrong, the way Jasper manipulates Lapis into fusing. Only for Lapis to just turn it against her. They're like mutually toxic. I also love Malachite as a contrast to Garnet. Garnet is the fusion between two gems who absolutely love each other. The reason why Garnet is so stable throughout most of the series is because Ruby and Sapphire understand and care about each other. The reason why Malachite doesn't work is because Jasper and Lapis are, literally and figuratively, not on equal footing with each other. Jailbreak is an excellent finale to the first season of Steven Universe. At number 5, we have Story for Steven. Okay, I'm just gonna be straight up with you all. I absolutely love these Greg and Rose flashback episodes, and they're probably going to make the top 5 of every season they're in. I love the way Greg is characterized here. This down-on-his-luck artist who's just so damn happy that one person showed up to his concert. He's so likable. It's easy to see why Greg was so quickly enamored by Rose, this mysterious and elegant space woman. Greg's fascination with her is adorable. It's also cool to get a little glimpse of the dynamic between the gems before Steven was born. Seeing a younger version of Amethyst is especially fun. Love both of the songs in this one too. Comet is a wonderful power ballad that always finds its way into my head. And Destiny does an excellent job summarizing Greg's new feelings towards Rose. Story for Steven is an incredibly wholesome episode that manages to set itself apart from every other episode in the first season. Also, Marty is the worst. All my homies hate Marty. At number 4, we have On the Run. On the Run is an episode that handles its tone perfectly. The song near the beginning of this episode is so much fun. Steven and Amethyst off on their own makes for one of the most memorable sequences of the first season. Amethyst's part of the song near the end is easily its best part. Michaela Diet's vocals are seriously good. And it transitions into the second half of this episode beautifully, with Amethyst's angst regarding where she was born. And the tension continues to build as we, the audience, as well as Steven, are introduced to the kindergarten. They do a good job making this place feel so alien and otherworldly, with Amethyst being in denial about her trauma regarding this place the entire time. Then Pearl re-enters the episode, and it's like, oh shit. Once again, Michaela Dietz really sells Amethyst's lines here. You can feel her trauma. The fight scene between Pearl and Amethyst feels so intense and dramatic. The way they make Amethyst feel so damn desperate, it's so good. The reconciliation between the two gems is also great. An incredibly heartwarming Pearl and Amethyst moment. On the Run is easily one of the best emotional episodes from the first season of Steven Universe. At number 3, we have Maximum Capacity. 2 Amethyst episodes in a row, baby. Maximum Capacity is an episode that's grown on me the more I've watched it. I think what I love most about this one is how real and almost sort of ugly it feels. How two perfectly good people, such as Greg and Amethyst, can have such a terrible influence upon each other. And the way they put Steven in the middle of such an awkward situation, again, it just feels so real. Amethyst shapeshifting into Rose is probably the hardest scene to watch in the entire show, particularly with the implication that this is not the first time she's done this. I'm sure some people really hate Amethyst because of this episode, but I respect that the show was willing to go there. To have a main character do something so horrible to somebody else. At the same time, I like that Greg isn't really a saint in this one either. Like, Amethyst is obviously worse, but Greg still missed out an event he was looking forward to with his son just to watch a sitcom he's seen a billion times before. I definitely wish we had at least one more Greg and Amethyst episode after this one. It feels like there's still more to their relationship to be explored. But for what it's worth, Maximum Capacity is still a fantastic episode. I would watch it about as many times as Amethyst and Greg watched Little Butler. At number 2, we have Rosa Scabbard. Ah, the big one. The episode I'm sure everyone expected to be at number 1. I love the way Rosa Scabbard portrays Pearl's grief over Rose. Much like Greg and Amethyst in the last episode, I respect that the show wasn't afraid to paint Pearl in an ugly light. Her insistence that she knew absolutely everything about Rose. They do a great job showing how grief can manifest itself in negative ways, and how Pearl defined herself by her relationship with Rose to the point where she doesn't know who she is without her. It really is tragic. Pearl and Rose must have spent thousands of years together, and now it's just gone. And keep in mind, Steven is only 12 or 13 years old, so to Pearl it wasn't even that long ago. The moment between Steven and Pearl on the cliff is one of the best scenes in all of Steven Universe. The way that Pearl is able to recite everything Rose said to her word for word, combined with the spectacular animation and music, makes for a scene that always manages to get me choked up. Steven's "I think you're pretty great" is such a simple line, but it's so effective in hitting you in the feels. You really get the feeling that this experience brought Steven and Pearl closer together. Speaking on an objective level, Rosa Scabbard is probably the best episode in Season 1. However, there is one other episode that resonates with me a little bit more. And my favorite Steven Universe Season 1 episode is Alone Together. Yeah, I'm kinda shocked by this one too, as I originally thought that Rosa Scabbard would easily take this. For those who remember my Adventure Time Season 6 list, this is sort of a Germain versus Escape from the Citadel situation, where the episode I put at number 2 is probably the objectively better episode, but the episode that I put at number 1 is the one that I personally enjoy more. There is a lot to love about Alone Together. Stevania is an absolutely wonderful protagonist. They bring such a unique young adult vibe to all of their episodes. They also have a very cool design, even if they remind me a bit too much of Abracadaniel at certain points. The animation and music here is some of the best in the series, perfectly capturing the joy and wonder that Steven and Connie are feeling right now. One of my favorite aspects of Stevani here is that the story never makes it explicitly clear as to whether Steven or Connie is the one speaking. I think it's really cool that the show leaves this stuff up to interpretation, but I think what I love most about this episode is the way it portrays a specific feeling that isn't often explored in kids' media, and that is the inherent sexualization of kids and teens going through puberty. A feeling that is most common in young girls, but can certainly happen to boys as well. That awkward feeling that comes with everyone looking at you differently now that you're growing into the body of an adult. That anything you do is seen as sexual now because of your body. It can be so isolating when you feel as though you're still the same person you were before on the inside, but on the outside, everything you do is perceived differently. That the world sees you more as an object to be leered at than an actual human being. This is a story that just resonates a lot with me personally, as someone who was frequently sexually harassed in high school. It made me feel gross about myself in a way that I couldn't really put my finger on at the time, but is captured beautifully in this episode. And using a fusion between Steven and Connie to portray this works absolutely perfectly, because they really are just a kid with the body of an adult, much like many actual teens who may be experiencing something like this. And while Steven and Connie are eventually able to unfuse and reclaim their childlike sense of innocence, the episode doesn't really present an actual solution to what Stevani is going through. It's just an honest portrayal of a common experience in teens and young adults. And for all those reasons, Alone Together is my favorite episode of Season 1 of Steven Universe, and one of my favorites of the entire franchise. And that was my Steven Universe Season 1 Top 10 list, but before I go, I have a few honorable mentions. Rose's Room is a really cool horror-focused episode. Coach Steven contains one of the best songs in the series, as well as a good message about what true strength really is. Horror Club contains some cool visuals and atmosphere, as well as an interesting dynamic between Lars and Ronaldo. And Winter Forecast is a very cozy feeling episode with a fun sci-fi premise. This one would probably be number 11. Please let me know what your guys' favorite episodes are in the comments, and I'll see you all for Season 2. Squill out.